Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the For Goodness Sake podcast. As always, it's your host, Mesfin Teklu, and we are back from a 2-week hiatus. I was out in Minnesota. I saw my family. It's been the first time in almost 6 months that I had seen them, and so I got to hang with my mom and my whole family and my sister, who's a mother, for Mother's Day. Spent that with them, and then my nephew's birthday was last weekend, and so I got to spend that with. Got to go to his birthday party, and it was just a great time. I got to see my friends, lots of good stuff. So it was much needed, and I'm really happy that I got to do it. But that is why we had no episodes the past 2 weeks. So I'm also happy to be back. Happy to be back with you all. And one more thing before we get into this week's episode, I wanted to let you know that even though I didn't do an episode 2 weeks ago, we did get a conversation when the Supreme Court there was this memo that got leaked from the Supreme Court saying that the conservative justices are going to overturn the ruling of Roe v. Wade, which is commonly understood as like the abortion is a U.S. constitutional right act or ruling. And so when that dropped, I had a very long conversation with a good friend of mine, Javier. We had it live on his channel, and I will put the link in the show notes below so you guys can go check that out. It's a long one, but it actually is, I think, really good. We get passionate, we get, upset at each other talking about this, but it was also very informative and, can show what I think about the issue and how important I think it is that we figure out a way to stop that court ruling or codify it into law via Congress or something like that. Some other way if that court ruling goes through. I know that was a really sensitive issue, and that was kind of my way of addressing it. I was thinking about doing a different video on here, but things just got in the way, so it didn't happen. But I start at 5 minutes in that show, so you can skip around, check out what we talked about. It was a really good conversation. That being said, today's episode, kind of completely different topic, is about an issue that I have had in my past, right? So, and not even just my past. I still struggle with this, and I have to keep my my mind focused to not fall into this trap all the time. So, and that's basically believing in yourself when you're practicing something, but not believing in yourself in some abstract sense, but believing in yourself to accomplish or grow in the area or to accomplish the thing that you're practicing. So I remember there were two things that sparked this conversation or this topic for me to talk about here today. And the first thing was I was talking about my high school experience, playing sports with some of my former teammates. And, we were talking about, some of the things that we excelled at, some of the things that we weren't so great at, and why we weren't so great at them, and how we could have improved. And what I remember thinking about when I was, kind of looking back at myself, practicing every day, doing all the kind of nitty-gritty technical work to improve whatever aspect of my game that I was trying to improve on. I remember thinking I'm just doing this, but I don't know how to actually improve. That's what I would always think to myself. I'd be I'm doing this drill or repetitive practice over and over, but I didn't know how to actually improve because I didn't think that what I was doing was actually helping me improve. I thought it was yeah, this is good at some level, but there's only a limit on how much this can improve you. There's some weird way that you actually can improve, and maybe that's by being born, just totally different than what I was born. That's what I thought. I always thought that everybody else around me was just born better than me at whatever trade that we were practicing, whether it was football or basketball or wrestling. I wrestled and ran track in high school, so I always just thought that the people who were better than me were just born that way, and that I could improve a little bit, but I couldn't close that gap. And that was a huge limiter for me. Believing that I could only improve this much led me to only improve that much at a time. similarly, I was bowling last week when I was in Minnesota. I was bowling with some of my friends, and I kept getting close to like getting strikes, but it was just like not, crashing, and like I had a lot of power, but it wasn't just like getting all those pins down. And I had one of my buddies who told me, "Hey, listen, if you want to get strikes, what you need to do is curve the ball a little bit." And I mean, I've seen like pro, bowlers on tour, on the, PBA when they're like, and they're whipping it all from like one side of the lane to the other, and they're doing crazy stuff. And I'm just like, oh well, I can't do that, like I'm not on the level of professional bowlers, so therefore I can't even try to curve it, right? And my buddy, shout out Trevor Oberg, I love you, man. He said to me, not with that attitude, you can't. Very simple, very kind of like old fashioned. And, he was kind of like messing around partially. He's like, laughing like, yeah, not with that attitude, you can't. But it was 100% true. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like something like clicked in me that like, oh, when I actually tell myself, just like right off the bat, that I can't do something, of course I'm not going to be able to do it. It's just, maybe I tried and I get lucky or something. I don't know. But if I start with like these negative expectations, it's more than likely going to end up negative for me if I try it. So now it's like, okay, I'm going to try to do it, all right? Like, I don't know. Like, tell me what you think I should do. And he was like, okay, well, put the thumb like this, fingers like this, and you really don't want to have to do it too much, blah, 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 blah. So I tried it, and, like, the first time I did it, it was, like, not great. And, like, the second time I did it, it was, like, a little better, but still pretty crap. But, like, I just kept trying it, and then, like, by the end of I don't know, like there's one frame and there's like 10 frames. By the end of the game that we were on, I hope they're called games, maybe matches, like whatever. By the end of that game that we were playing, I had like kind of found a shot, and like I was like able to like, consistently hit some pins down, sometimes getting a strike, like every so often, like most often getting a lot of pins and then like missing the spares because I wasn't very accurate. But we went a couple more times since I was when I was in Minnesota, and I got much better, and I got like a much higher number of strikes than I had ever been used to before. And it was awesome. And like the main point is really like I just like learned to curve the ball, and it was just something that I didn't think that I could do at all before, and all of a sudden I could do it. And like, no, I'm still not curving it on the level of like the Afro guy that looks kind of like Bob Ross with his hair on the PBA tour. I'm not that great, no, but like that's fine. I don't have to be. I like improved, and like I improved to a level that I didn't even think I could do at first. So those are the two things that have me thinking that this is an important thing to share with you guys. Additionally, when I work out, sometimes I like work out thinking that like I can only do so much. I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna like do this workout, I'm gonna do 10 reps, and like it'll help me get stronger, but it has to be like over a long period of time. And like I can't really get like really into a workout. I have to practice before I'll really be able to zone in and like get myself kind of like really worn out. And that's like just like a story that I tell myself, and it's not true necessarily. It could be true, but it's what I'm expecting, and so the more I expect that, the more likely it'll be true. So I think it's important to remind everyone that when we start with negative expectations in our minds, even on something that we have no idea anything about, starting off with those negative expectations makes the negative likelihood go up. The likelihood of that negative outcome coming to pass, it makes it more likely. It's worse to start out, and it seems like obvious when I'm saying this, but like you think about it, like it's very true, okay? Like when you're starting to do anything or when you're practicing anything, it's worse to go into it with negative mindset or even just kind of like a so-so mindset than it is to just go into it with no mindset at all and just say like, I'm going to do this and just see what happens. Like if I was in high school again, I would go through those same drills, those same workouts, the same technique practices that I did every single day. But I would just go through them and say, just be open, okay? Just be open. Like don't tell yourself in your head anything as much as you can. Just like do what you're supposed to do and see what happens. I can remember like the wrestling technique because that was always just so repetitive. And I just thought that I just hadn't been wrestling since I was 3. So there was just like a limit of how good I could get. It's crap. When you really are just open, you can really cement technical aspects of your craft into your, subconscious. You can make them more fluid. You can get yourself more in the zone, and then like you also get your stamina going when you're trying harder while also cementing, you know, things into your kind of like muscle memory. And then on top of that, you can also just figure stuff out. You know, when you have an open mind, you start to do things, and then you realize, oh, I just did something different than I ever did before. You know, how did I do that? That felt really good. How did I do that? Let me try to do that again. You know, instead of just being like, I can only do it this one way or do this thing, and I can only, you know, get this much better at it. You know, you're not open to those possibilities. So they don't come to you. And when they do come to you, maybe you don't even recognize them because you just think you're, you know, not doing it right or something. I don't know. But it's just true, okay? Like having any expectation that's not just like open and accepting of whatever could come, like including like the crazy possibility that you could just be like awesome at it for all of a sudden, like you could just like get so much better. That's inherently going to be better than if you are already closed off to those possibilities. Being open to those possibilities, all the possibilities that could come, is always going to be better. So that brings us to our quote of the day, which I heard it a while ago on Ezra Klein's podcast. He was talking to this lady who wrote a book, and she mentioned this quote in her book, and I thought it was a cool quote, but it's so great that it came around and applies to us today. So the quote is by, the guy is Japanese, so I hope I'm not butchering his name. Doing my best here. Shunryu Suzuki. That's what I think his name is, all right? And he wrote the book, and this quote is from this book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. So the quote is, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. And then, you know, above that, he also had mentioned earlier, he says, a little bonus quote of the day for you, a little bonus QOTD, a BQOTD, if you will. If your mind is empty, it is always ready for anything. So I think that's important because it reminds us that sometimes, like when you get like really nerdily into something, when you get really devoted into a craft, you kind of just take you take it for granted, the fact that like anything could happen in life, you know, like you can't predict the future, and sure, some things are a lot more likely to happen than others, but like that doesn't mean that other things can't happen. You know, I remember a few years ago, Leicester City won, I think, the Champions League. I think they won it. I don't remember what it was because I wasn't a huge soccer fan at the time, but I remember they had the worst odds of anyone to win that tournament that they won, and then they won it, and it was just like incredibly unlikely, but they did it, you know. Same thing with you know, the Minnesota Twins won their World Series in baseball. It's called the World Series. They won their World Series when they were like the last, you know, place team in the league the year before, and like I don't know, the Cubs won a World Series. I mean, I use sports examples because I feel like sports examples are easy to see, like, you know, like what you input in terms of effort and how like the universe rewards that in terms of just luck and you know, success. You know, the outcomes of your inputs are like they can be very analogous to like what happens in life, you know. No, not every player in Leicester City probably believed that they were going to win the year before, but you know, they just kept trying. And if you just keep trying and keep yourself open, you're giving yourself the chance. But if you write yourself off by putting these limiters in your mind about what you can do, you actually will probably end up exactly where you think you will. So I'm not saying that you can always believe that you'll be able to do the best thing in the world and you know, do the most insane thing that you ever dream of. I'm not saying you can always believe that. Sometimes you have doubts, all this stuff. But next time you recognize yourself having a doubt on yourself, putting a little limiter on yourself mentally, whenever you're doing something, try to remember that just be open. Just being open might be better, and that's enough. All right, everybody. It's been a pleasure. It's always fun. Like, subscribe, comment below if you liked the video. And I'd love to hear if you have any experiences that are similar to this. So drop some comments below, and we'll be talking soon. As always, peace and love.